رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to our basic Arabic course. Inshallah, today we're doing 4 letters. In these letters, we're going to go through Idhal, Ra, Za, and Sin. First letter, Dhal. It is same position as the Tha that we've done. So Tha was a letter that came from the tip of our tongue by catching it between the middle, the top, and the bottom incisors. So same with the. Again, I don't want to keep it heavy. I want to say the, thu. So last time we did the letter dal, the. Da had no dot. The has a dot on top. So the difference between dal and dal, dal is a dot. So dal, which we did last lesson, which is I said it was like a d sound, closer to the d sound. I did say that it's more like a da, dal, dal. This is the dal. So I'm going to take the tip of my tongue and catch it between the top and the bottom incisors, keeping my tongue nice and straight and not raising it. Next letter is Ra. Ra. Ra can be heavy and it can be light, and inshallah we'll go through those rules later on in the course. Ra is where I'm going to grab the tip of my tongue and touch it behind my teeth. Okay, so ra. So just behind. So here we've seen in the last sort of session that you touch the da here. There you take as you take it and catch the tip between the top and bottom incisors. Now the raw, I'm going to take my tip of the tongue and just put it here. Raw. That's my light raw. The. Okay, if we do a re, which is a lighter re, the re here. The stronger raw, I'm going to take it slightly further back and say raw. So I'm going to touch it around about here. Raw. Or if you just have a feel behind your top incisors, if you move your tongue along this arrow, you start to feel like a hard palate, which I call the bridge. So if you just pop your tongue there and then you move it across to the finishing of the hard palate, which is like it's like a raised part. And then if you place your tongue there, that's where the actual heavy raw comes from. Raw. The raw, raw. And for this one, we're just moving it across, as we can see here. That's where the tip of the tongue should be. Raw, in the hard space, the hard, like a bridge, hard palate, before you reach the middle part of the roof of the mouth. And then the tongue at the back should be raised. And that happens naturally if you if you have a feel within your mouth, you'll see that raised part, which is like a hard palate. If you go to the end part of that hard palate, so slide your tongue across your mouth before you get to the soft palate. There at the end of the hard palate is where the raw is. Raw. Here's a better illustration of how to say the light raw and the strong raw. So the light raw, it comes just behind. Here's your incisors. Here's the gum line where the da and the da come from. If I move my tongue slightly back at the start, so here's your bridge. Here's the hard part that you can feel in your mouth, which is slightly raised. At the beginning of the bridge is light raw. If I slide my tongue to the further part or the end part of that bridge, that's where the heavy raw comes from. So ra, ri, raw, raw. So say with me, ri, place your tongue here. Don't raise it and don't take it too far back. Ri, at the start of the bridge, ri. Slide your tongue to the end part of that bridge, which is a raised part in your mouth that you can feel, and say raw, ru, raw, ru. And inshallah, we'll go through these vowels. Okay, the a, e, and o vowels that you hear me say, we will go through them later in the course. You now have two letters, which is Z and Sa. They come from the same articulation point. They come from the bottom part of the teeth, the bottom part of the mouth. And I'm placing my tongue at the gum line, the meeting point of the gum line and teeth. And I'm going to use the tip of my tongue and just place it at the lower part of my jaw. In my lower part mouth, I'm going to put it behind my bottom two incisors, and I'm going to place it behind these two teeth, right where the gum line and the teeth meet, the meeting point of the gum line and the teeth. And now I'm going to say Z and Sa, Z, Sa, Z, Sa, keeping the tongue down in this lower area, in the lower jaw area, and say za, zi, zu, sa, si, su. Don't raise the tongue and don't make it heavy. We will now turn to writing these letters. So let's have a go, inshallah, of how to study or write these letters, inshallah. We're now going to go to the, so we've done dal, and we're now going to do the thal. Okay, so remember we said thal is catching the tongue, catching the letters. So let's just share my screen. Is it not shared? Apologies. So we should be sharing now. Mhm. So let's go through the annotation here. So we have here dal and thal. So both of the letters are exactly the same, apart from the thal has a dot on top. So as we did before, we just go through that. So same as before, we take it from number one, which is showing the image. We take a curve and we take, well, slightly oval that shape. We need it nice and straight. So here and then here. And then a dot on top makes it dal. So dal has no dot and dal has a dot on top. Um, and please try and memorize the difference between these two. And these two letters we will go through later on and tell you what they are. They are naughty letters, and we'll explain that once we go through. We did raw, and what we said about raw. Raw and za look the same as well. So raw has no dot, and it's just like a little curve coming off the line. It's not like, it's more like a curve. Same with za, we're coming, and that's a better one. It's just difficult to do online. And then on the za, we place a dot at the top. So it's not like a da, a that. So it's not there, it's not that. It's more like there, there. Okay. So both of these have a dot. Now this one, it's not like a dal. So that's a dal, and this is a raw. It's more like a curve. And both of these do not have dots. So it may be a good idea just to write both all of these together, just so you get a hang of what was the difference between the two, which might be a bit easier. Scrolling down to our final letter for today. So it is seen. Remember seen. Now seen, you have, and what the Arabs call these teeth. They call them the teeth. And it's one, one, two, three. So one, two, and three. And then the fourth one is like a open cup. So let's have a go. We'll do one, two teeth, third teeth, and then we just take a big one here. So one, two, three, and the third one we just bring it around here. So that's a final letter for today. Please continue practicing and reading these letters, especially those ones that look very close, similar, they look very close but different because of a dot. Have a go at revising them, have a go at reading, memorizing the articulation points, so where these letters are coming from. And best of luck, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.